west till they bury me. I'm one west till they bury me. I'm one west till they bury me. I be one west to the death till they bury me. One west till they bury me. I'm one west till they bury me. I'm one west till they bury me. I be one west to the death till they bury me. I be one west to the death till they bury me. They ain't scaring me. Rip the soul out of Pharisee. Speaking heresy, it get you fucked up apparently. It's like they daring me. I said chill, they ain't hearing me. They ain't listening. Every bar nitroglycerin. Hit your heart, bring it back to start, make you live again. Get them dividends or we start getting ignorant. I be on that soldier shit. I told you shit phenomenal. Nah, but he a domino. So what you suckers trying to do? Rhyming comical, guess it's funny until I'm bombing you. Bring apocalypse to them pussy niggas that's popping shit. Team of all-stars, I coach them up like I'm Popovich. Fuck the politics and the lobbyists and apologists. They vagina, so we gon' check them like gynecologists. It's kinda obvious how the situation is ominous. The way I vomit this and regurgitate for the audience. They start applauding this cause the competition is fraudulent. From the era where niggas smoke you up like a parliament. The flow been stupid, shit has gotten retarded since all the dominance of one west rising to prominence. Cause I be one west to the death till they bury me. I'm one west till they bury me. I be one west to the death till they bury me. I'm one west till they bury me. I be one west to the death till they bury me. I'm one west till they bury me. I be one west to the death till they bury me. I'm one west till they bury me. They want a nigga quiet, mute my maneuvers, but I ride like I got Groupons for Uber. Rhymes hard like they been viewed by Medusa. 9 milli Luger, 17 in the Ruger. Only need a few to sit up in your medulla. Obligata for the regatta, niggas wildin', they win every dollar. They riding by in black Impalas, let the semi holler. A showstopper, been this proper since the teeny bopper. But now I'm growing them off Patron, a premium of vodka. I put extensions on the Glock, modified the chopper. The swore heavy, war ready, and that's worth the mama. No marijuana, say I got the loudest silence on it. When I'm up on it, ain't no rapper do it like I do it. A lot of spitties and writers, but when they heat's on, none of them can get to the fire around with me. And I had a nigga spin like a tire, but down the D, and I'm still dope as a piper. Every bar burn hard like a spoon with a lighter. Fuel to igniter, I'm winning, coming through with the title because I be one west to the death till they bury me. I'm one west till they bury me. I be one west to the death till they bury me. I'm one west till they bury me. I be one west to the death till they bury me. I'm one west till they bury me. I be one west to the death till they bury me. I'm one west till they bury me.
All right. Shalom, Israel. You live with the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. Priest and Captain Saga. Well, hold on, y'all. Bear with me. Got this camera zoomed in. Okay, not too much. Don't zoom out too much. Come on, camera. There we go. Shalom, Israel. You live with the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. Priest and Captain Saga Wool holding down the class live from Memphis, Tennessee. Every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we have classes here in Memphis from 6 to 8 p.m. Hold on. I don't like the camera angle. Bear with me, y'all. Y'all got the give Cap a second. Hold on. Oh, boy. Let me see something. Hold on. Y'all got to bear with me, man. No, I think I did it. That's what I wanted. Nah, it is what it is. I'll be here all day trying to get this thing right. I don't. There we go. I be liking that right there, but it looked crooked, so it's throwing me off. But I don't think it's throwing y'all off. I think it's just me. I be OCD sometimes. Come on, man. Hold on. There you go. Now it's straight. All right. Shalom, Israel. You live with the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. Priest and Captain Soccer Wool holding down the class live from Memphis, Tennessee. Every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we have classes here in Memphis from 6 to 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Since 1969, the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge has been teaching so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians the truth according to the Bible. What is the truth? The truth is that so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians descend from the greatest people that have ever walked on the face of the earth. The Bible identifies us as the lost 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. And in the year 2026, there's nothing more important than for God's chosen people to learn the truth of who we are where we come from, and what our purpose is on this earth. So what we like to do with these classes is go into this book called the Bible, and give brothers and sisters an opportunity to gain the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that the Most High has placed inside of this book, so that we can come back to being the people that He called us to be and reclaim our righteous place on the earth as kings, priests, princesses, and daughters of Zion. With that being said, if there's any brothers and sisters that have questions online, all you have to do is type them in. If anybody has questions in the room, all you have to do is raise your hand. If there are no questions, we'll get into the topic of tonight's class. What you see on the screen is Jeremiah 51, the collapse of America. All right. Last night, we concluded the Feast of Purim. I taught a class titled The Audacity of Mordecai. Very good class, very important for brothers and sisters to understand how these stories in this Bible, or the records that we read in this Bible, are not just stories. It's not just fantasy feel-good stuff. It's not anecdotes, that just has good wisdom for you to ponder and think about. The Bible is the book of the living God, and these words in this book are alive. You understand? The instructions, the laws, the rules, everything that God established for His people in this book still apply to His people today. And seeing that we are God's people today, all of the consequences and repercussions for our disobedience to God are present in the earth today. And all of the promises and the rewards and the blessings that come from obeying God are present for us to obtain in the earth today. With that being the case, there's also prophecies and words from the Most High against other nations that have dealt treacherously against God's people, that have tormented them and oppressed them and done them harm and done them evil. And God speaks about their fates and the consequences of their actions as well. And Jeremiah 51 is a prophecy concerning the fall of the Babylonian Empire that Jeremiah delivered in his lifetime, being carried captive as the Israelites were being carried captive into Babylon. Jeremiah actually did not go into Babylon. Jeremiah went into Egypt as the Israelites were carried into Babylon. But the Lord gave Jeremiah the word to prophesy against Babylon concerning its fall. And that word that Jeremiah spoke to Babylon is the word that applies from the Lord to America today. And as we see all of these things going on with this war in Iran and the kicking up of the Third World War, it's necessary for brothers and sisters to understand that things are only going to continue to get worse for America. America is not going to rebound and go back to being the great nation that it once was. America's time is coming to an end. You understand? And as America's time comes to an end, the Lord is calling for Israel to rise. The Lord is calling for His people to now reclaim their identity, reclaim their culture, reclaim their heritage, and to reestablish themselves as the people God called us to be on the earth. Everybody understands. And actually, so it's important to understand that part of this prophecy in Jeremiah 51 extends into other parts of the book of Jeremiah, right? Towards Jeremiah's end, the Lord gave word to Jeremiah to prophesy about the fall and the rise of various empires. You understand? And so there's a lot that's in Jeremiah 50, a lot that's in Jeremiah 49 of the Lord prophesying against other nations. Jeremiah 48. Jeremiah, really, yes, okay. Let me see. I'm looking through the Bible now. Really, it's Jeremiah 45. We start in Jeremiah 45. The Most High prophesies the destroy. Jeremiah 44. The Lord prophesies the destruction of Israel. And as he speaks about the destruction of Israel, he starts to begin to speak about the destruction of Egypt and the destruction of Philistia and the destruction of Moab and these other nations that came up against the children of Israel. The Most High prophesies their destruction and things that were going to happen to them in that day. That word came to pass in that day, but that word is also going to come to pass again in this day, concerning these enemies of the children of Israel. But if you wanted to read from Jeremiah chapter 50, starting at verse 29, it begins the prophecy against the pride of Babylon. And it goes on down. But we're going to start at Jeremiah chapter 51. Now, there's a news report that came out today saying that, and this is why I believe all of these prophecy scriptures that are in the Bible are very important for brothers and sisters to understand today, because the Christian church and the religions of our oppressors are about to begin heavily discussing the prophetic nature, the prophecies that are contained in this book called the Bible. You're going to start seeing breakdowns about the land of Israel. You're going to start seeing breakdowns about the evil of Islam and the evil Arabs. You're going to start seeing a lot of rhetoric coming out of the churches and out of these so-called, these people that believe the Bible that you haven't really heard before. They don't know the Bible and they don't understand the nature of these prophecies, or if they do, there's a strong need for our oppressor to not identify himself as Babylon, to not identify himself as the villain in all of these prophecies. But the reality is they are the villain. The reality is the word that God is speaking against the evil empire and the sinful kingdom on the earth is the Lord speaking against America. He's speaking against our oppressor. Man, that's where we're going to start. Matter of fact, before we get Jeremiah 51, I'm going to start in Amos chapter 9, verse 8. But as I get Amos 9 and 8, let me pull this this article up. It says, hold on. So here we go. It says, March 4th, 2026. Hold on. You get a real, you know what? Let's go Al Jazeera. Let's get Al Jazeera. I like Al Jazeera because Al Jazeera is not U.S. state assigned news. So you might get a little bit of the news from Al Jazeera that you won't get from U.S. based, U.S. based run companies. You might get a little bit of truth from some of these other alternative news outlets, right? But let me go ahead and I'm gonna do this here. I'm gonna share the screen and see if we can get this on the screen. Okay, now let me get me back on the screen. Boom. All right, that's good. I can do that. Let's see something. I'll zoom in and go to the left. Let's see. How does that look? Okay, zoom in too much. Bear with me. Okay, let's see how that look. All right. Okay, this ain't working. Let me do. Nope, that ain't working either. Do this. No, I don't like that. All right, here we go. So you see that it says why are the U.S. and Israel framing the ongoing conflict as a religious war? Right? It says U.S. troops reportedly told that the war in Iran is intended to bring about biblical end times Armageddon. You understand? Now, if this is something that is being discussed openly in the military, then you can only imagine what they are saying in their churches, what they're saying, in their synagogues. You understand? To them, this is the war to end all wars. This is the coming of Armageddon in the Bible. Now, we all read if you read the book of Revelations, Armageddon is what occurs before Christ returns. And so there are conservative Christian Americans who believe that Donald Trump was sent by God to bring about the return of Jesus Christ. Those Israelis over there with Benjamin Netanyahu. Now, these Israelis are not Bible-believing people. They don't follow any of the Bible's prophecies or believe in anything the Bible says. They use religion to stir up emotions in people. They use religion worse than your pastor does. Your pastor uses, God and music and dressing fancy clothes to get you out of your money. The devil that the Bible speaks of, our oppressor, uses religion to get people to go and give their life in war. They use religion as an excuse to slaughter and commit genocide against people even though they are not a people that believes what the book says or does anything that the book says the people who serve God should do. But to stir up the troops and to get the troops, really engaged in the war and focused on the battle, they tell them, you're servants of God. You are doing God's business going over there and unaliving these Arabs. You go and fly these bomber jets and drop these bombs, and you dropping it on hospitals and dropping it on, schools where children are. You're doing God's work. We're going to show you in the Bible what God said concerning these end times and what's going to befall the people who would wage war and would shed blood across the earth. All right. Reading the story a little bit, it says, as conflict in the Middle East enters its fifth day on Wednesday, American and Israeli officials are pushing rhetoric suggesting that the campaign against Iran is a religious war. On Tuesday, Muslim civil rights organization, the Council of on American Islamic Relations condemned the Pentagon's use of this rhetoric, deeming it dangerous and anti-Muslim. Let's keep reading. Let's see what else they got to say. It says the United States and Israel began their attack on Iran on Saturday and have continued to carry out strikes on Iran. Since then, in retaliation, Iran has hit back at targets in Israel and U.S. military assets in Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, the United Arab Emirates, Iraq, and Cyprus. A U.S. watchdog has reported that U.S. troops have been told the war is intended to induce the biblical end of times. U.S. Secretary of State Mark Rubio also recently stated that Iran is run by religious fanatic lunatics. Everybody understands. Says, what are American and Israeli leaders saying? U.S. watchdog Military Religious Freedom Foundation said it has received email complaints that U.S. service members were told the war with Iran is meant to cause Armageddon or the biblical end times. Everybody understand? An unnamed non-commissioned officer wrote in an email to MRFF that the commander has urged officers to tell our troops that this was all part of God's divine plan, and he specifically referenced numerous citations out of the book of Revelation returning to Armageddon and the imminent return of Jesus Christ. So this is what is on the hearts and the minds of our oppressor who is sending people to go die out there in the Middle East. They believe that this is an honorable, righteous thing for them to go and kill and die in the name of their God and to inspire the troops to give their lives and to fight harder and to kill more. They are saying this is God's will and you are fulfilling biblical prophecy. Well, let's read the Bible. Let's read some of these let's read some of these prophecies and see what the Bible says concerning who's right and who's wrong, who's on the right end and the wrong end of this biblical prophecy of the end times. All right. So again, I want to get the book of Amos. I want to say it's 9 and 8. It might be something else. My memory served me correct. See, there we go. I ain't getting too old. I ain't old yet. I got some more years to go. We're at Amos chapter 9, verse 8. Here's what it says. It says, behold, the eyes of the Lord God are upon the sinful kingdom, and I will destroy it from off the face of the earth, saving that I will not utterly destroy the house of Jacob, saith the Lord. Most High said that his eyes were against the sinful kingdom. What's the sinful kingdom? The sinful kingdom is America. The sinful kingdom is this Western power, this Western empire. Now, during the days of Amos, the sinful kingdom was Babylon. You understand? The sinful kingdom were the ones who was ruling over everybody and had conquered the land at that time. That prophecy applied then, and because we serve a living God, it applies today. And think of every generation where there's been this sinful kingdom, where there's been the center of all evil and all wickedness and all oppression of people around the earth. God has destroyed all of them. Think about all the empires that have risen and fallen on the earth. You think about the Greeks and the Romans. Before them, it was the Persians and the Medes. Before them, it was the Babylonians. Before that, it was the Egyptians. Before the Egyptians, it was the ancient Babylonians, the way, way back Babylonians. Nimrod and them. That's who was running it. So the Bible, these words that the Lord prophesied they are they what they call them? They're manifold, meaning there's layers and they can apply more than once. The Lord said that he sees the sinful kingdom. The Most High is watching down, man, and he sees the oppression of God, of his people. He sees the evil that Donald Trump and his administration was doing with our brothers and sisters with ICE, deporting people, separating their families. The Lord sees all the evil that they were doing with the Epstein Island and the, being sexually assaulting children and women and the LGBTQ community, all of the children that have been violated, young boys that have been violated, that grow up and are told that, you wasn't a victim. You weren't somebody who had something horrible happen to you. You were born that way and you wanted to do those nasty things that you did when you was a child. All the evil, the drug addiction that was pushed on black and brown communities in this place. Even today, the white man's such a diabolical fiend, he'll poison his own people. That meth and all of that, what is it? Meth and what's the other one start with an F? What's the drugs that they doing now? Doing meth. What's the other one y'all know that they doing? Whatever them drugs are that's killing people, getting them all high and out their mind. All of that's being done by our oppressor. All that's being pushed by our oppressor. The legalization of marijuana and, all of the evil that they do. The pharmaceutical companies with all of their drugs, their LSD and their heroines and all those things. That is all the doing of our oppressor. And the Lord said he sees it. Fentanyl, that's what it was. The water says, I appreciate you. Fentanyl, I thank the Lord. I've been out of the streets for so long, I don't even remember the damn name of the drugs. Fentanyl, heroin, cocaine, marijuana, all those things are being pushed by our oppressor. And the Lord said he looked down from heaven and he sees it. You understand? All of the poverty, all of the brother Kazak Ahmad did an excellent video where he showed images of cities in the Middle East before white people arrived and waged war, and then after white people came and got involved in their countries. He showed Syria, such a beautiful place, man. And he showed Syria after the Western powers got involved. He showed Libya, how it was such a wonderful after the Western powers got their hands on it. He went and showed what's that other country over there? He went and showed Iran. Hey, I've been since the war started with Iran. They've been doing all type of specials about the history of Iran and how Iran used to be Iran was a cool old hippie place back in the 60s and the 70s. Them Iranians was hippies, man. They women had little short skirts, you know what I'm saying? The Iranian men had little Arab afros, and they was getting groovy and funky with it back in the 50s and the 60s. The white man said but then they had a leader rise to power that wanted to take all that oil and take all of those resources and benefit the people. And the white man said, nah, man, they put a military dictator in charge, the Shah, and completely tormented and did evil to those people over there in Iran. Completely transformed their civilization and their culture, put them under a religious, basically a religious lockdown, and changed their culture. And now the white man's going over there again because they're not getting their way, and they're afraid that the Iranians are afraid that this is a re-traumatization for a current generation. Then the brother Kazak Ahmad showed the black community how it looked before white people. You understand? When we were segregated, we had Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma. You understand? And many other cities, man. Washington, D.C. used to be a beautiful city. Then white people said, you know what, man, these niggas, Memphis, Tennessee was a beautiful city. Detroit, Michigan was a beautiful city. Chicago, beautiful city. Then white people saw that we were beginning to thrive. They saw that we were able to, really build a community, have nice neighborhoods and economically sound business practices and going to work and working hard. The white man said, we can't let these people rise up. We can't let these people be independent and separate from us. And they came and they bombed our neighborhoods, man. They dropped dope and crack cocaine and committed economic apartheid against us and destroyed our community. So the same game they running in the Middle East, before they did it to them, they did it to us here. And God said he sees the sinful kingdom and he's going to destroy it from off the face of the earth. There's one more verse in Amos. Let me go back. I left out the second part of that verse. Or the next verse. Amos chapter 9, verse 8. It says, behold, the eyes of the Lord God are upon the sinful kingdom and I will destroy it from off the face of the earth, saving that I will not utterly destroy the house of Jacob, saith the Lord. What's important is that the Lord said he's going to destroy this place, but he is not going to completely destroy the house of Jacob. Meaning what? While America falls and while America is destroyed, the Lord said he is going to preserve and protect his people. Not all of his people, those of us who are obeying him, those of us who are doing what he said to do, those of us who are honoring the Most High by acknowledging that his word is living, that he's living. And these biblical prophecies that applied to Babylon in the past, they are applying to our oppressor today. The words of deliverance that were prophesied to us then are the words of deliverance that are being prophesied to us today. And so it's best that we learn how to obey the Lord and be who he called us to be, because he is going to destroy the sinful kingdom from off the face of the earth, but he is not going to utterly destroy the house of Jacob. Everybody understands? Let me keep reading this into Amos chapter 9. Amos 9:9. For lo, I will command, and I will sift the house of Israel among all nations, like as corn is sifted in a sieve. Yet shall not the least grain fall upon the earth. You understand? The Lord right now on the planet is sweeping down with a giant a strainer, sweeping the earth with a strainer, and all the dust and the dirt and the nasty stuff is going to fall out the bottom of that strainer. But what's being caught and gathered is the children of Israel. You understand? There's some brothers and sisters in class today that I haven't seen in class before. Most High in Christ. You understand? The Lord is now gathering his people together because we are seeing how serious the times are. The Lord is showing us how real things are getting. And it's now the time that we should find out what we need to be doing to please the Lord, so that as he destroys our oppressor, we don't get caught up, you understand? And we don't become, what do they call them? Collateral damage. You want to make sure that you're someone that's standing on the side of the Lord so that you could be protected as he brings this oppressor down. Let me take a second, man, to say shalom. Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shabrak Thumb to Zion. You know what I'm saying? Shalom to Joel and Agri, Sister Anaya, Sister Shawabah, the brother Ben Israel from Mississippi. Shalom, my Lord in Christ. My sister Asa out there in California, the rib of the brother Leonard. And the sister Nazamana out there in Louisiana, rib of Officer 5000 Matabar. Definitely appreciate y'all tuning in. All right. One more verse here in Amos chapter 9. Now we're in 9 and 10. All the sinners of my people shall die by the sword, which say the evil shall not overtake nor prevent us. Now is not the time to be siding with your oppressor. Now is not the time to be caught up in the misinformation concerning the prophecies of this book. Now is not the time to be believing that Revelations was something that applied to the Roman Empire. It ain't got nothing to do with America and what's going on today. Let these devils lie to you if you want to. The Bible is talking about the time that we are living in right now. And what's prophesied to happen in this time is a lot of bloodshed, a lot of souls returning to the Lord. But then there's souls that the Lord wants to go into the kingdom. On the right hand, we're going into the kingdom to rule, to have authority, to be glorified. On the left hand, there's people going into the kingdom to be slaves and servants, to be judged and punished for all the evil that they've done. And that's what we're going to read about tonight in Jeremiah, the 51st chapter. All right, so we'll understand as we go into Jeremiah, the 51st chapter, Jeremiah is prophesying the destruction of Babylon. That destruction of Babylon correlates with the collapse of America in the days that we're living in now. And that's what we're going to go into, all right? So this is Jeremiah chapter 51, starting at verse 1. It says, Thus saith the Lord, Behold, I will raise up against Babylon and against them that dwell in the midst of them that rise up against me, a destroying wind. And the Lord said, in the midst of Babylon, meaning what? In the middle of the empire. The Lord said he's going to raise up a destroying wind. He's going to, like a hurricane or a tornado, right? Now, I want you to think of the Western powers right now. I want you to think of America right now. For the last 6 or 7 years, after Donald Trump lost the election in 2016 or 2020, that January 6th insurrection that they tried to pull at the Capitol, That was absolutely the white man fighting to change this country into a dictatorship. They tried to pull a military coup, as America has done in many other countries, and they failed. But that was the beginning of that strong wind being stirred up in the midst of Babylon. And it carried over throughout the entire Biden administration. It carried throughout the whole COVID with the shutdown and the mask and the vaccines and people not trusting the government and people saying they trying to take our freedoms away. And then in 2024, they had an election and Donald Trump was elected. And Donald Trump won that election. And immediately when Donald Trump was inaugurated in last January, it's been a whirlwind since then. And that whirlwind with the ICE, with Doge and the government cuts, with all of these executive orders that he passed, we're in a time now where Donald Trump has just sent the country to war and did not acknowledge or pay attention to any of the laws concerning him needing to go to Congress to get approval. And that's it's creating a storm within America. Just a few months ago, they were beefing with NATO about Greenland. Donald Trump put these tariffs against Canada and against Europe and against France and against England and Germany. He went over there to the summit and told them, listen, they don't like what I'm doing, man. I'll put 100% tariffs on all the French wine and all the French liquor. All of that turmoil is that destroying wind that is being talked about here in Jeremiah. Let me keep reading. Jeremiah 51:2, and I will send unto Babylon fanners that shall fan her and shall empty her land. For in the day of trouble they shall be against her round about. Against him that bendeth, let the archer bend his bow. And against him that lifteth himself up in his brigadine, and spare ye not her young men. Destroy her utterly, all her hosts. So this is talking about the armies being raised up. Right now, it's Iran. It seems like it's Iran against Israel and against America. But the Israelis wanted this war to start so that they could achieve their ambitions, which is to take over all of the Middle East. They said today that the Israeli army has started to invade Lebanon. A few weeks ago, I did a video showing a Tucker Carlson interview with the U.S. ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee. And Mike Huckabee said on record that Genesis 15 promises the land that Israel is in right now to Abraham's descendants. Tucker Carlson responded and said, well, the promise in Genesis 15 encompasses Iraq, some of Iran, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Lebanon. Are you saying they entitled to all those countries? Mike Huckabee said that's not what they're asking for right now. But if there was the war to break out and they took that land, then, that's a different story. Well, that's what they're doing now. And this war is going to result in all these other countries bending the bow and turning their archers towards America, towards Israel. Let's not even acknowledge that Israel is a thing. Israel is really America in the Middle East. You go back to the end of World War II, the whole reason why that land was annexed and was isolated and was separated is because America wanted to have a stronghold in the Middle East to keep all those Arab nations in check. And before World War II, when they brought all those Germans and Polish people into that land, the British was the ones that had control over Jerusalem. The British were the ones that had control over that land in Israel. They try to make it seem like it was just all ran by Palestinians. Before the end of World War II, British had occupied that land from the Ottoman Turk Empire. The Ottoman Turks maintained most of what was north and to the east of Israel, but that land right there was occupied by the British. After World War II, they said, listen, we're going to have a stronghold in this land. And they carved out and parceled out the land they called Israel today. But those people out there, Israel has always been supported and backed by America because it was literally just American installation in the Middle East. So when this Bible is talking about bending the bow, and we speak about bombs dropping in Israel, that's the same as bombs dropping in America. Does everybody understand that Israel is not a separate force or separate nation from America concerning these prophecies that we reading of? All right. So one more time, Jeremiah 51:3. Against him that bendeth, let the archer bend his bow. Let the Iranians turn all those missiles against America. You understand? Let the Qataris and the United Arab Emirates and the Saudi Arabians and the Jordanians and the Lebanese and the Houthis, let all of them turn their weapons against America. Let all of them turn their weapons against one another. Reading on. And against him that lifteth himself up in his brigandine, and spare ye not her young men, destroy ye utterly all her hosts. Verse 4, thus the slain shall fall in the land of the Chaldeans, and they that are thrust through in her streets. For Israel has not been forsaken, nor Judah of his God, of the Lord of hosts. Though their land was filled with sin against the Holy One of Israel. Why is this war taking place? Because the Lord has not forgotten about Judah. The Lord has not forgotten about Israel. This war that's being waged in Iran right now with people dying in these countries in the Middle East, in the land of the Chaldeans, is because the Lord is trying to restore his people back to their rightful place on the planet. Keep reading. Jeremiah 51:6. Flee out of the midst of Babylon and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity, for this is the time of the Lord's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense. What does it mean to flee out of the midst of Babylon? Does this mean we got to leave America? Does it mean we got to go and find some desert place for us to dwell? No. This is not talking about a physical fleeing. It's not talking about a physical departure from America. This is talking about taking your spirit out of this place, your hopes and your dreams and your future endeavors and all of your long-term plans. Our plans right now should be doing what the Lord said to do and allowing him to lead and guide us. I'm not saying go empty your bank account. I'm not saying don't have any investments and don't have no money in a retirement. Just don't let that be what determines your promise for the future. Recognize that your future and your life is in the hands of the Lord. And you can either trust it in the hands of the Lord by obeying him, or you could try to take it into your own hands and disobey the Lord, but that is the guaranteed path to failure. That is the guaranteed path to sadness and destruction. Everybody understand what I'm saying? How do we know that this is talking about a spiritual fleeing and not physical? Because it says, flee out of the midst of Babylon and deliver every man his soul. How can you deliver your soul by physically going somewhere? If the soul is spiritual, you understand? You deliver your soul by not believing the lies of America. You deliver your soul by not believing the lies of Christianity. You deliver your soul by not joining yourself to Islam. You deliver your soul by obeying the Lord and doing what he said to do. Remember, Christ said, don't be afraid of them that can destroy the body, but fear him that can destroy the body and soul in hell. You understand? Hell is a condition that we all live in the earth. Hell is being separated from the Lord in the earth. Living a life void of the knowledge and the understanding of the Most High. Getting high, having sex with whores, lying and deceiving, being caught up in different religions. You understand? That's hell. And our lives, our soul gets destroyed in hell with the depression and the drug addiction and the alcoholism, the sexual assault, the abuse of the children, the neglect of our families, the dysfunction between the men and women in relationships. All of that is your soul being burned in hell. Everybody understands. Now, if hell is a condition on the earth, then what's heaven? Heaven is when you dwell in the knowledge of the Most High. Heaven is when you live righteously and honorably, and you don't have to lie, and you don't have to hide, and you don't have to be afraid of everything that happens. Why? Because you know that the Most High is with you. And if you know the Most High is with you, then you know that his word is true. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. You know that the Lord said he's going to destroy the sinful kingdom, but he will not utterly destroy the house of Jacob. That is what life is like when you serve the Most High and put your trust in him. Everybody understands. Finishing Jeremiah 9:9. Be not cut off in her iniquity. Don't be cut off in the sins of this place, in the evil of this place. For this is the time of the Lord's vengeance. That's what we're witnessing. I saw a video today. There was a U.S. Marine that went to protest in some Senate hearing. and they dragged this U.S. Marine out of the room that he was protesting in, and the police broke his arm in the door. Now, you think that other Marines and former service members that see that, you think they're going to be okay with that? You think nobody's going to have to answer for that? All of these actions are a part of this wind that the Lord said he was going to send to sweep through Babylon. Keep reading, verse 7. Babylon has been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. What is God saying that he's done? The Lord said that Babylon has been a golden cup in his hand. What do you use a golden cup for? You use a golden cup, you pour a good drink into a golden cup. You pour something that's delicious into a golden cup. And then you drink out of it. The Lord said that Babylon has been a golden cup in his hand that made all the earth drunken. You understand? All the earth is drunk on what? If Babylon is a golden cup and everybody drank and got drunk off that cup, what is inside of the cup? Okay, they're getting drunk off liquor. It's a metaphor, right? But what is the liquor that has made the earth drunk? What is the thing that Babylon has let all the earth taste that has made the earth drunk? For time's sake, I'll give it to you. It's oppression. It's oppression. It's hypocrisy. It's their, the lie of democracy and freedom, when really every country on this planet is in a military dictatorship. There's people in every country on this planet that cannot do what they want to do, can't live life the way they want, because if they buck up against the system, they'll be put to a violent death. And that's in every country. There's not a country on the planet where you can buck up against the system and not be put to a violent death. What's happening in Iran right now is because Ayatollah Khomeini would not bow down and capitulate to what America and what Israel wanted. So he had to be put to death. Same thing happened to Muammar Gaddafi. Same thing happened to Saddam Hussein. Same thing happened to the leaders in our community. Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and Medgar Evers and so many names, Fred Hampton and all these brothers who lost their lives. Why? Because they bucked up against the system. You understand? The thing that America and the Western powers has made everyone to taste is oppression. They made everyone taste hypocrisy. They made everyone taste of lies and propaganda and seeing horrors right in your face, but then they tell you, nah, that's not what you saw. You saw Rodney King get beat. Police came and said, nah, them officers didn't do anything wrong. That man was speeding doing 100 down the highway. What they got to do with him getting beat? We all saw Eric Garner get choked to death, saying, I can't breathe, I can't breathe. They said the officers were just trying to subdue him, man. They didn't do nothing wrong. They got off scot-free. We watched Michael Brown get shot in the back of the head with his hands up on his knees, saying, don't shoot. And they said, well, those officers feared for their life. We watched, what's my man? George Floyd get choked out, knee to his neck, lose his life on camera. They said, yeah, those officers, they just was, they were doing their job. He was irate and out of control. That's what the earth has tasted. That's happened in other countries and other places in the world. And now everyone is mad. Everyone is full of fury and anger. And there's injustice that has not been handled, that the earth can't handle it anymore. Now everybody is ready to revolt. Everybody is ready to, throw down. And it's the spirit of the Lord that's doing it. You understand? This is Jeremiah 51:8. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her. Take balm for her pain, if so she may be healed. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go everyone into his own country. For her judgment reaches unto heaven and is lifted up even to the sky. So this is what we are going to get ready to witness. As America gets more caught up in this war that's going on in the Middle East, and as more countries get involved and get drawn into it, people are going to begin to flee America. white man talking about an immigration problem, that is not going to be an issue really real soon, because these East Indians are about to pick up and go back to their country. These Koreans are about to pick up and go back to their country. These Japanese and these Chinese, they're going to pick up and go back to their country. Why are they going to leave America? Because America's dollar is about to collapse. America is about to witness a financial catastrophe, the likes that has not been seen since money has existed in the earth. You understand? The collapse that is coming to America is one that is going to be economic. We already seen the legislative collapse. The courts have collapsed in this country. The separation of powers, the judicial, the electoral, the executive, and the legislative branch, that shit does not exist anymore. It is completely destroyed. After this the end of this Donald Trump presidency, whenever it ends, however it ends, America is not going to recover. And in that instability, these other nations are going to say, this is no longer the land of milk and honey. This is no longer the place where you can live and be at peace and have everything you want, and everything is, flows with milk and honey. They're going to say, man, we better off going back home around our own people where we could be protected. At least we around our own people. And there's not going to be nothing that can be done to heal this place. There's not going to be nothing that can be done to restore it back to its former glory. Everybody understands? Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 10, the Lord has brought forth our righteousness. Come and let us declare in Zion the work of the Lord our God. That's for us. While this is happening, we're going to be declaring the glory of the Most High. We're going to be declaring in Zion the work of the Most High. We're going to build this government up. This army of the Lord is going to get stronger. We're going to start to reach into communities and reach in the pockets in this country that everyone has forgotten. You understand? I live in Memphis, Tennessee, man. There's some places that's about 2 hours from here that nobody has touched in the last 100 years. You understand? There's places in Mississippi, there's places in Arkansas, there's places in Tennessee where nobody has even bothered to come and check on these people in the last 75 years, where the truth is going to be there. And we're going to be strong, and we're going to get rooted in those places, and we're going to build them back up, teaching them the truth and showing them the way that the Lord said we're supposed to go. You understand? Reinstituting the righteousness of the Lord. And these places that have been forgotten are going to be many pockets of the kingdom of heaven while America falls, while America is destroyed, while everybody is broke and don't have no money, and 401ks are being drained, and the stock market is not working. We're going to declare the work of the Lord in Zion. Everybody understands? Verse 11. This is Jeremiah 51 and 11. Make bright the arrows, gather the shields. The Lord has raised up the spirit of the kings of the Medes, for his devices against Babylon to destroy it, because it is the vengeance of the Lord, the vengeance of his temple. Now, who's the king of the Medes? Where's the location of the ancient Mede Empire? It's Iran. It's right there. The Lord is going to raise up the king of the Medes. They killed Ayatollah Khomeini. Guess what? There's other kings over there in that land. There's other princes that are going to rise to power, that are going to be heralded by their people as the savior and deliverer of the righteous of their people, because they're going to fight against America and be victorious. You understand? Jeremiah 51 and 12. Set up the standard upon the walls of Babylon. Make the watch strong. Set up the watchmen. Prepare the ambushes. For the Lord has both devised and done that which he spake against the inhabitants of Babylon. You think that you've seen terrorism. You have not seen terrorism in this country yet. There's already talks about sleeper cells and about clandestine activities. You're about to see raids on police departments, bombings at local banks and hospitals. You're going to see, food shelters being robbed and stolen from. You're about to see all types of evil being done in this land. And it's not going to come to the righteous children of the Lord. It's going to come to the oppressor, because this is God's doing. Everybody understands? Verse 13, O thou that dwellest upon many waters, abundant in treasures, thine end is come, and the measure of thy covetousness. Verse 14, the Lord of hosts has sworn by himself, saying, surely I will fill thee with men, as with caterpillars, and they shall lift up a shout against thee. He has made the earth by his power. He has established the world by his wisdom, and has stretched out the heaven by his understanding. When he uttereth his voice, there is a multitude of waters in the heavens, and he causes the vapors to ascend from the ends of the earth. He maketh lightnings with rain, and bringeth forth the wind out of his treasures. This is the power of the Lord, The things that the Most High does, when he say something, it happens. Nobody can stop it. Nobody can put an end to it. And the Lord has said Babylon is going to fall, which means Babylon is going to fall. Jeremiah 51:17, every man is brutish by his knowledge. Every founder is confounded by the graven image. For his molten image is falsehood, and there is no breath in them. All the things they put their hope and their trust in. Listen, these devils here in America, they don't believe in the God of the Bible. You understand? They believe in the God of the blood sacrifices. They believe in the God of molesting children. They believe in the God of doing horrible evil to somebody, making them sign contracts for 1 billion years. I watched some interview. Some actress or some singer broad said that she never got famous because they tried to have her sign a 1 billion-year contract. And the interviewer was like, 1 billion years? What they mean? It's like you can sell your life away? She was like, nah, they believe in reincarnation. They believe when you die, you come back in the earth. And so you sign this contract, it's for 1 billion years. You sign the contract, live your life out in service to them, then you die. And when you come back, they find you again and you continue on singing and dancing. I said, well, goddamn. That's the God they believe in. They believe in the God of 1 billion years, you under this contract. And they believe that serving their gods is what gives them their strength, what gives them their power. But what happens when their gods no longer answer? What happens when the blood sacrifices and the sucking of the baby penises and the molesting of the young children doesn't help you stay in power? It doesn't help prop up your stock market anymore. It doesn't keep you among the rich and the powerful. We're about to find out. We're going to see it coming to pass. The Arabs over there, they believe in their Allah. Oh, they love that Allah. They circle that rock. They bow that head to Mecca. Allah is not going to deliver them out. Allah is not going to stop the bombs from dropping. Allah is not going to stop, the terror and the horror that they're about to face. All of these people who believe in these graven images and have these goofy philosophies about life and power and rulership, guess what? The 48 laws of power is not going to protect anybody in this time that we're living in. Sun Tzu and the art of war is not going to help anybody stay safe in this time. Whatever your thing is that you believe in, that you cling to, it is not going to stop you from dying the horrible death in this place. The only thing that's going to save anybody is the invisible God, the living God, the God of Israel, Yahweh. You understand? Allah Hayanau. That's the Most High, our power in Hebrew. He's the only one that's going to save or deliver anybody. Everybody understands. Let's keep reading. This is Jeremiah chapter 51. We at verse 18. They are vanity, the work of errors. In the time of their visitation, they shall perish. That's talking about all the gods of these heathens and these other nations. They are vanity, works of error. Christianity is a work of error. Believing that Jesus Christ is God is a work of error. Believing that Muhammad is a prophet of God and that God is the same God of Moses and Jesus and the other prophets is a work of error. You understand? Thinking that God's name is Yahweh is a work of error. There's a bunch of names out there. I be on the internet, I look at some of these names and I'm like, Lord, I think the Most High let me just find the truth. You understand? Now, there's nothing wrong if you still studying, you still learning. There's progressions. You understand? Before I knew the truth, I saw that Yisrael with the Y in the front, Y-I, Israel. And I was like, I wonder why they do that. Then I went and studied, found out that the letter I that we have today used to be Y in ancient times. You know what I'm saying? And Israel, I get it. That's just the Y with the. All right. So I see some of that stuff and I'm like, okay, they searching, man. They still, they still on their journey. And the truth about the truth is all of us we in this thing together because we family, we God's chosen people, but we all have an individual journey to find the Lord. You understand? My individual journey started when I was about 17, 18 years ago. It took me about 3 years of searching before I found the truth. And when I found the truth, I found the truth about being an Israelite about a year before I found the ISUPK. And I found out about the curses in Deuteronomy 28, and it changed my life. But the Lord saw fit for me to find the UPK. There's other brothers that's been in Israelite groups, other brothers that was, the Yahushua and all them different things. When you find your way into the truth, man, you get the clarity that you need. I'm saying that to say, if you put the Y in front of Israel, no sweat. You're going to come on in here, you're going to learn the ancient Hebrew, and you'll find out the name is Yasher Allah. There's people out there that don't believe the Bible. They say Israel is Isis, Ra, and El. That's where you get Israel from. I look at them and say, really, that's what your studies is, that you've landed there at Israel. What if I told you the ancient Hebrew didn't have the letter E in it? You understand? And it's Yasher Allah. Then they'd be like, you see the wheels in their brain, you know what I'm saying, stop working. And you tell them, man, just keep studying. Like, don't even sweat it. You know what I'm saying? Hell, I've been in the truth for 15, 16 years. I don't, there's still more that I know. And the mark of an honorable, righteous man is the acknowledgement that I don't know everything. I do know what I need to know to be who the Lord called me to be now, but there's still much more that has yet to be revealed. Does everybody understand? It doesn't matter where you are. You have to continue on your path. You have to continue on your journey to serve the Lord and to be who the Lord called you to be. Does everybody understand? All right. Keep reading. This is Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 19. The portion of Jacob is not like them, for he is the former of all things, and Israel is the rod of his inheritance. The Lord of hosts is his name. What does it mean when the Bible says that the portion of Jacob is not like them, for he is the former of all things? What does it mean that Jacob is the former of all things? What it means is we were here before all these other things. You understand? Meaning what? Our belief and our culture and our religion, it predates everybody else's. This culture that God gave us, these laws that we following, this is what was given to Adam and given to Adam before the Lord put him in the garden. You go all the way back to Genesis, the 2nd chapter, and you read about the formation of Adam. The Bible in Genesis 1 describes the creation of mankind, the human race. They are made on the 6th day while God is still working. On the 7th day, the Lord finds Adam among the other people living on the earth, and that's the dust that Adam is formed from. When the Bible in Genesis 2 says that God formed man from the dust of the earth, that's not saying Adam was created. Adam was a man living on the earth void of the knowledge and understanding of God. He was living with all the other people that was created from that first day. Who knows what generation Adam was in? But on that first day, on that 6th day in Genesis 1, mankind was created, and God said, be fruitful and multiply. Then the Lord looked down and said, I need somebody to put this place in order, and he found Adam. When the Lord spoke to Adam, Adam listened, and he breathed the breath of life into Adam, and man became a living soul. What was breathed into Adam? The Lord gave Adam his laws, his knowledge, his understanding. You understand? You can show that in Ezekiel, the 37th chapter. What happened to Adam in the book of Genesis is what happened to the valley of dry bones, where Ezekiel prophesies and speaks the word of God, and a wind comes into the dry bones, comes into the dead bodies that's laying there, and they stand up on their feet in exceeding great army. That's what's happening today. This truth, this word of the Lord is going out. The Lord is allowing breath to be breathed into these dead bodies. You understand? Meaning we physically alive, but we're dead in the spirit. But when this word of the Lord gets into you, when you start to understand that we the children of God, when you start to learn the laws about not eating pork and not eating shrimp and not smoking weed and not, being a homosexual and finding out how to be born again and putting your trauma and your evils of the past behind you, you become like that army in the valley of dry bones in Ezekiel, the 37th chapter. And all it takes is the word of the Lord being taught, being spoken for you to begin to wake up. Well, the Lord woke Adam up. And when the Lord woke Adam up, he gave him his laws, gave him his culture, told him, man, do this, do that, don't do this, don't go over there, don't eat this, don't eat that. You understand? You take a horse is to be used to pull this damn thing to make a hole in the ground so you can go plant the plants. Plant pumpkins over here, plant corn over here. Don't mix the soil. That's the wisdom and the knowledge that God gave to Adam. The same laws that were later written down by Moses was delivered to Adam before he was put in the garden. You understand? And the trees in the garden was other nations that were in the garden, other people with their cultures and their way of life. And God said, you can go and be among all the trees in the garden. Just don't go to that one in the midst. If you eat the fruit from that tree, you're going to surely die. And Eve didn't obey, didn't listen. She went and learned from the serpent. She went and dabbled in their culture, went and dabbled in the things that they had going on. And the Lord came and it took Adam and Eve away from righteousness. Took Adam and Eve away from their culture. They covered themselves with fig leaves so they could hide among the other nations. The Lord came looking for them and said, man, where's the man that I gave my culture to? Where's the man I gave my laws? Where's the righteous man in this place? Adam was hiding. That's the story of Genesis. You understand? It's not whatever you think whatever you've been taught. What made Adam who he was God gave him his laws. God gave him his knowledge and wisdom, and that made Adam rise above the other people who he lived with. You understand? And it enabled Adam to be able to put the garden in order. Also, when you read in the book of Genesis, the garden is not the whole earth. There's the earth, and then there was a choice land that God wanted for Adam to be the ruler over. That's the land he put him in the garden. But that wasn't the whole planet. Everybody understands. Cut that. Let's get back to where we are. That's what I meant when that's what Jeremiah 51:19 means when it says that Jacob is the former of all things. The culture that God gave to us is the culture from the beginning. It's the way that we were intended to all live. This obeying the Lord and keeping his laws, one day the entire earth is going to be under this system. One day the entire earth is going to obey what we obey. The entire earth is going to eat what we eat. The entire earth is going to honor what we honor. You understand? They're going to partake in all of the laws that God gave to Jacob because it is the honorable, righteous law that should govern all of man's existence on this earth. Everybody understands? Keep reading. This is Jeremiah 51:20. It says, thou art my battle axe and weapons of war. For thee will I break in pieces the nations, and with thee I will destroy kingdoms. And with thee I will break in pieces the horse and his rider. And with thee I will break in pieces the chariot and his rider. With thee also I will break in pieces man and woman. And with thee I will break in pieces old and young. And with thee I will break in pieces the young man and the maid. I will also break in pieces with thee the shepherd and his flock. And with thee I will break in pieces the husbandman and his yoke of oxen. And with thee I will break in pieces captains and rulers. And I will render unto Babylon and to all the inhabitants of Chaldea all their evil that they have done in Zion in your sight, saith the Lord. Behold, I am against thee, O destroying mountain, saith the Lord, which destroyest all the earth. And I will stretch out mine hand upon thee and roll thee down from the rocks and will make thee a burnt mountain. What is God? He's talking about the government of Babylon. The mountains are synonymous with governments, high places, high seats of power and authority. The Lord just said that Jacob in Israel was his battle axe and his rod, and he's going to use us to break all these things in pieces and destroy all these people. That time is going to come when our king returns. Right now is a time for fishing, but there's going to come a time for hunting, and the Lord is going to call for many hunters. Right now, he's called us to fish. He's called us to do what I'm doing right now, to teach, to break these scriptures down, to wake you up, to get you to realize that there's a way you're supposed to be living, that there's a standard that you're supposed to uphold and that you got to reach to, and you're not going to be able to do it if you're not obeying the Lord and doing what he said to do. The time right now is us being prepared to be the battle axe for the Lord. You understand? To be the rod that he uses to break in pieces all the other things that make these other nations great, all their power and their strongholds. Right now, the Lord is breaking them down with just these words, but there's going to come a time where he's going to break them down by sending out his soldiers to wage war. Everybody understands? But this verse 29, 23, 25 is talking about the governments of our oppressors, namely the United States government. I'm going to read it one more time. Jeremiah 51:25. Behold, I am against thee, O destroying mountain, saith the Lord, which destroyest all the earth. And I will stretch out mine hand upon thee and roll thee down from the rocks, and I will make thee a burnt mountain. And they shall not take of thee a stone for the corner, nor a stone for foundations, but thou shalt be desolate forever, saith the Lord. Everybody understands that. They're not going to take a piece. Nobody going to preserve any of the foundation of this government or of this empire or of this evil that has been done on the earth. God is going to wipe it out. He's going to erase it. Everybody understands. This is Jeremiah 51:27. Set ye up a standard in the land. Blow the trumpet among the nations. Prepare the nations against her. Call together against her the kingdoms of Ararat, Mini, and Ashkenaz. Appoint a captain against her. Cause the horses to come up as the rough caterpillars. The Lord saying, get all the armies ready. Get all of the empires and all the kingdoms. Tell them to get ready for battle. Verse 28, prepare against her the nations with the kings of the Medes. Again, the Medes are the Iranians. Get them other nations to prepare with the king of the Medes, the captains thereof, and all the rulers thereof, and all the land of his dominion. And the land shall tremble in sorrow, for every purpose of the Lord shall be performed against Babylon, to make the land of Babylon a desolation without an inhabitant. The mighty men of Babylon have forborne to fight. They have remained in their holds. Their might has failed. They became as women. They have burned her dwelling places. Her bars are broken. Listen, you wonder why they got to tell the military that this is a holy fight of God and Donald Trump is an instrument of Jesus Christ's return. Because if not, them soldiers is not going to fight. Come on, man, with all of the knowledge of the conspiracies and the evil that's been done in this country, you think these young white boys want to go die for this country? You think, listen, I'm at an age now, many of the people I grew up with, they got kids is around 18, 19. There was some brothers and sisters, there was some white boys I knew had kids when they was in high school. You think they're going to send their kids to go die for this government? You think a cat that's, 42, 45, lived through, he lived through 9/11. He lived through all the conspiracy talk. He lived through the first Gulf War. They lived through the war in Iran and the weapons of mass destruction. You think them cats finna send their kids to go die for America? Hell no. Nah. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I think the only people going to signing up for the military right now is poor black people. I got a call from my mother the other day that one of my uncle's kids went and signed up for the military. And it's a damn shame. It's sad. Because this same uncle, he left the family. We born and raised in D.C. I come from a family of hardcore niggas, man. Shout out to Captain Yagalwap. I grew up in a family with all boxers. All my uncles, 4 of them was fighters. And they whooped niggas' ass. You did not want to mess with them Thompson brothers. And I grew up they nephew. So in my mind, you don't want to mess with me, nigga. I'm a Thompson too, goddamn. And I grew up around some hardcore niggas out there. They had respect everywhere they went. Never had no problems or issues. My uncle called himself, he wanted to change I guess he wanted to end the generational curses. He moved out to California, married some broad, and had 4 kids and kept them boys away from the family. He didn't want his kids to know that they come from a family of, gangsters and fighters and drunkards and drug dealers and just criminal gangster niggas. He wanted his kids to be sheltered and raised in a good, loving, wonderful neighborhood with a loving family. And me and my cousins, the cousins that's younger than me that spent some time with them, come and report back to the family, man. Them boys is sheltered, man. They soft and they this and that. Man, it's scary though, man, because they men now. My uncle got 4 kids. I think the youngest is 17. All 3 of his older sons, he got one that's 21, 22, one that's 20, one that's 19, 18, just graduated high school. You understand? And he got a younger son that's getting ready to graduate. And he tried to shelter them kids. And we told him, man, one day the anger of being who we are is in them. That manliness to want to fight and want to start some shit and want to prove yourself, it's in your sons. You can't hide from them who we are. You trying to hide it, it's going to blow up in your face. And sure enough, one of his sons went and signed up for the military months ago. Didn't tell his mother and daddy till a day or 2 before he had to go. He came and said, yeah, man, I signed up for the army, man. 2 days later, they shipped his ass out. He down there in Georgia somewhere getting ready to prepare to go fight in the white man's war in the Middle East. Lord be with him. I blame his father because he tried to shelter that boy. That man was born to be a soldier. He was born to be hardcore, and his daddy should have allowed him to be who God called him to be. But instead, he tried to shelter him and tried to hide that anger, hide that masculinity, hide that zeal. And now he gonna go give it to the white man. It's a damn shame. You understand? That's not the only one. I've seen other people, kids, going around to the military, and I'm like, y'all, man, listen, this is not the time for your kids to be going in the military. But when you poor and you ain't got nothing, hey, you got to get away somehow. Might as well go and get that government money. But damn that. Salaki, I ran off on a tangent a little bit. You understand? The point is, these devils do not want to go and fight in this war. You understand? I wouldn't be surprised if America tried to institute a draft in a few years if this war continued, because these American homebred white boys is not finna go just die for Donald Trump and them to be able to go and molest children or for them to get more oil money. You understand? And that's what's being described here in Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 30. I'm going to read it one more time. It says, the mighty men of Babylon have forborne to fight. They don't want to fight. They have remained in their holes. They hide. Their might has failed. They became as women. They tuck their tails, man. They ain't scared. They don't want to go die. They don't want to go fight. Hell, some of them is literally become as women. They put on dresses and wigs and said, no, I'm transgender, man. I don't want to go and fight no battle. I'm a dainty, grown-ass man, full beard and lifting weights with a dress on, tattoos with a dress on, saying, no, I like, I identify as she, her. I can't go fight in the military. What? That's what this Bible is talking about. You understand? They have become as women. They have burned her dwelling places. Her bars are broken. Jeremiah 51 and 31. One post shall run to meet another, and one messenger to meet another, to show the king of Babylon that his city is taken at one end, and that the passages are stopped, and the reeds they have burned with fire, and the men of war are affrighted. There's going to come a time when as that war in the Middle East wages, this is going to be manifest in those places where they out battling. It's also going to be made manifest here in this country as these insurrections get started, as these militias start to come out against the government and start to fight to take back control and power of the government. It's going to be some cats holed up in a bunker somewhere, and they're going to have to, somebody going to come and say, sir, they at the door. We've got to open the door. We can't, and they're going to carry these leaders and these rulers, some of these elected officials, they're going to get carried out of these state houses. They're going to get hung in the square. These people they're going to go and storm the governor's mansion. They're going to pull the governor out with his wife and his family and unalive them on the front lawn because of the evil that's being done in these states with the withholding of health care and other things that we're going to see transpire in this place. You understand? Jeremiah 51 and 33. For thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, the daughter of Babylon is like a threshing floor. It is time to thresh her. Yet a little while, and the time of her harvest shall come. The daughter of Babylon is America. We're in the daughter of Babylon. You understand? Verse 34. Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, has devoured me. He has crushed me. He has made me an empty vessel. He has swallowed me up like a dragon. He has filled his belly with my delicates. He has cast me out. The violence done to me and to my flesh be upon Babylon, shall the inhabitant of Zion say. And my blood upon the inhabitants of Chaldea, shall Jerusalem say. What is that? That's us talking about the evil the American government has done to us. The atrocities and the crimes that have been committed against God's chosen people, so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians in the history of this nation. We have been destroyed. They have gobbled us up. We have been as a delicate to them, something that they could just eat off of and make billions of dollars because we bounce a basketball, because we run a football, because we sing, because we dance, because we rap and make music and make culture. They've devoured us and swallowed us up. And we're going to declare it to the world like we're doing now. Verse 36, therefore, thus saith the Lord, behold, I will plead thy cause and take vengeance for thee, and I will dry up her sea and make her springs dry. And Babylon shall become heaps, a dwelling place for dragons, an astonishment and a hissing without an inhabitant. They shall roar together like lions. They shall yell as lions' whelps. In their heat I will make their feasts, and I will make them drunken, that they may rejoice in sleep, a perpetual sleep, and not wake, saith the Lord. You understand? The Lord is talking about a complete and total destruction of America. A complete and total wiping out of this whole American experiment, this dream, this lie of democracy, this lie of freedom. You understand? The oppression of capitalism. This is a complete, total, systematic collapse that the Bible is describing. Democracy is never going to be a thing thought of again in the earth after the fall of America. The capitalist system that America and Israel has built itself off of is collapsing in on itself. Go and study some of the reasons why they went into Iran. Iran is one of the major key holders of the BRICS nations being able to establish a brand new monetary payment system. They want to switch over to a payment system where every country has its own currency and can buy oil and can trade in its own currency. They don't want to use the US dollar no more. But if they get away from the US dollar, they get away from the capitalistic system, and they get away from the financial reserve systematic banking system where they use fractional reserve currency creation to make fiat currency, which is debt money, to be passed around. They trying to put an end to all of that. China wants to go back to a gold standard. Brazil and India want to go back to a gold standard. And the only thing that's standing in the way is America and Israel, because if the Israeli banking conglomerate gets cut out by these other nations, then all of their power and all of their influence and all of their, threat to other nations goes away. So they had to go into Iran. They had to wage the war to stop the American everything from collapsing. But there is no stopping what God is doing. There is no stopping what the Lord has already purposed. In a race to save themselves from falling into a trap, they put themselves right in the midst of the trap. Trying to delay the inevitable, they actually speeded up the fall of America. They sped up the destruction of the US dollar. The war in Iran is going to put a halt on all oil production. These oil production nations are stopping their tanks right now. In Saudi Arabia, in the United Arab Emirates, in Bahrain, they all turning off their oil spigots. If Iran decides we're not producing no oil for European nations, Europe and America halts tomorrow. You know who owns all the materials needed to make electric cars? The Chinese. I don't know if y'all know this, but the Chinese are making luxury cars that cost $30,000. Luxury electric cars that cost $30,000. America will not allow for China to sell those cars here because it would put Ford out of business. It put GM out of business. GM right now is selling a pickup truck for $120,000. A basic pickup truck is $120,000. China has luxury electric cars that you go and do this shit here and the car open up. You sit in the car and you go do some animation. You do this shit here with your fingers and the car turn on. It ain't got a physical steering wheel. You driving, you do this shit here, the car turn left. You do this here, the car turn right. America will not let you drive that car because it only costs $30,000. It's evil. It's evil. This Chinese got technology that's out in this world that you can't touch because it would be ruining America's monetary system. You understand? The Lord they trying to stop it, but it ain't gonna be able to be stopped. The Lord is just purpose to destroy this place. You understand? Salaki, let's keep reading. This is Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 40. I will bring them down like lambs to the slaughter, like rams with the goats. How is Shishak taken? And how is the praise of the whole earth surprised? How is Babylon become an astonishment among the nations? Shishak is a place back in those days, but it relates to something today. You understand? How did America fall? How did America become so destroyed? I thought America was the land of the free and the home of the brave. I thought America was the land of democracy and voting and choosing and electing your leaders. I thought America was the land where there was checks and balances in the government. There's no military dictatorship in America. Shit. Why ain't it? Donald Trump did an interview today and said nothing. Donald Trump said there is nothing that can contain my power except for my own morality. Meaning I'm what keeps my mind is what keeps the military power of the U.S. in check. Like there's nobody that can stop me from doing what I want to do. I do whatever the hell I want to do. Only thing stopping me from doing what I want to do is me. I decide what I want to do. Which is an evil, horrible lie, but it is, I mean, it's if you're gonna tell a lie, that's the lie to tell. Like the lie to tell is, yeah, man, I run this whole shit. Can't nobody do nothing with me, man. I'm only thing that's restraining me is me. That's the pride and the narcissism. Y'all use that word narcissist too loosely. Donald Trump is a narcissist. That's a narcissist. You women talking about a man having more than one woman. He want to have sex with me and be with other women too. He a narcissist. No, bitch. He's just a regular man. Donald Trump is a narcissist. You understand? A man wanting to be with you and having other women is a normal man. It's a normal man to say, yeah, you down with me and I love you, baby, but I like this other lady too. He not a narcissist. He's just a regular guy. Donald Trump said nothing's holding back my power except for me not deciding to destroy everybody. That's a narcissist. Everybody understand? Jeremiah 51:42. The sea is come up upon Babylon. She is covered with the multitude of the waves thereof. Her cities are a desolation, a dry land and a wilderness, a land wherein no man dwells, neither does any son of man pass thereby. And I will punish Baal in Babylon, and I will bring forth out of his mouth that which he has swallowed up. And the nations shall not flow together any more unto him. Yea, the wall of Babylon shall fall. Verse 45, my people, go ye out of the midst of her, and deliver ye every man his soul from the fierce anger of the Lord. And lest your heart faint, and ye fear for the rumor that shall be heard in the land. A rumor shall both come 1 year, and after that in another year shall come a rumor and violence in the land, ruler against ruler. Therefore, behold, the days come that I will do judgment upon the graven images of Babylon, and her whole land shall be confounded, and all her slain shall fall in the midst of her. Then the heaven and the earth and all that is therein shall sing for Babylon. For the spoilers shall come unto her from the north, saith the Lord. This is invasion. It's other nations coming and stealing all the wealth, robbing the goods of this country. Prophesied by God. Verse 49, as Babylon has caused the slain of Israel to fall, so at Babylon shall fall the slain of all the earth. So Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, no, that's chapter 52. Salaki, I skipped the part. Jeremiah 51:50. Ye that have escaped the sword, go away, stand not still. Remember the Lord afar off, and let Jerusalem come into your mind. We are confounded because we have heard reproach. Shame has covered our faces, for strangers are coming to the sanctuaries of the Lord's house. This is the condition that we were in, being destroyed by Babylon. This is the Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian community for the last 500 years, man. We have been confounded. We have been a reproach. Shame has covered us. Strangers have come and taken advantage and molested and abused all the things that we hold precious and dear. You understand? Think of your life, man. Think of the things you've been through. This is what we're talking about. We were not supposed to be subject to the things we were subjected to. We were not supposed to suffer the horrors that we suffered. All of it was a result of the Babylonians destroying us and stripping us of our culture, taking away our heritage, flooding drugs into our communities to poison our mothers and our fathers and our brothers and our sisters and our uncles and our aunties and our cousins and our grandparents. You understand? We come from horrors. We come from great evil. And it was a result of what Babylon designed to be against us. Everybody understand? Jeremiah 51:52. Wherefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will do judgment upon her graven images, and through all her land the wounded shall groan. Though Babylon should mount up to heaven, and though she should fortify the height of her strength, yet from me shall spoilers come unto her, saith the Lord. A sound of a cry comes from Babylon, and great destruction from the land of the Chaldeans. because the Lord has spoiled Babylon and destroyed out of her the great voice. When her waves do roar like waters, a noise of their voice is uttered, because the spoiler is come upon her, even upon Babylon, and her mighty men are taken. Every one of their bows is broken, for the Lord God of recompenses shall surely requite. And I will make drunk her princes and her wise men, her captains and her rulers and her mighty men, and they shall sleep a perpetual sleep and not wake up, saith the King, whose name is the Lord of hosts. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the broad walls of Babylon shall be utterly broken, and her high gates shall be burned with fire, and the people shall labor in vain, and the folk in fire, and they shall be weary. They're going to try to stop this fire, man. They're going to try to put out these skirmishes. They're going to try to send out the National Guard. They're going to try to, they're going to try to do everything they can to maintain this place. What you're going to see is you're going to see the fall of the federal government. Then the state governments are going to try to assert themselves. America going to fracture from being under a federal rulership, and you're going to see these states try to go back to enacting their own policies and send out their own militias, and it's still not going to work. Then as the society break down and you get smaller pockets of people doing this thing and doing that thing, they going to fight with each other and destroy each other and kill each other. Nothing is going to stop the destruction that God is bringing on this place. Meanwhile, none of the divisions and the smaller fractions is going to be for the benefit of our people. We're going to be the ones that got to take care of ourselves. We're going to be the ones, we're going to have to protect ourselves. We're going to have to determine what's right and what's acceptable for ourselves. Everybody understands? And we're going to do that in the midst of them being burned and being destroyed. Jeremiah 51 and 59. The word was Jeremiah, the prophet, commanded Sariah, the son of Neriah, the son of Maaseiah, when he went with Zedekiah, the king of Judah, into Babylon in the 4th year of his reign. And this Sariah was a quiet prince. So Jeremiah wrote in the book all the evil that should come upon Babylon, even all these words that are written against Babylon. And Jeremiah said to Sariah, when thou comest to Babylon and shalt see and shall read all these words, then shalt thou say, O Lord, thou hast spoken against this place to cut it off, that none shall remain in it, neither man nor beast, but that it shall be desolate forever. And it shall be when thou hast made an end of reading this book, that thou shalt bind a stone to it and cast it into the midst of the Euphrates. And thou shalt say, thus shall Babylon sink, and shall not rise from the evil that I will bring upon her, and they shall be weary. Thus far are the words of Jeremiah. You understand? These are the words that the Lord gave to Jeremiah to deliver to Babylon. And Jeremiah entrusted those lords to Sariah to deliver to the king of Babylon when the time came, to read in the midst of Babylon, and then to take it and bind that book up and put a rock on it and throw it into the ocean. This is camp we reading about. You see how we go out there on the street, we stand on a pulpit of wood and we slam the Quran on the ground and we stomp on white Jesus. We get that from the Bible, man. Jeremiah told the young man, when the time comes, you're going to go in the midst of Babylon. You're going to read these words. You're going to take that book and put a rock on it. You're going to throw it into the water. And you're going to say, you see that? That's Babylon. And all the people that was there, I imagine it was an amazing speaking that the brother gave that day, because to hear this being spoken on the streets and to know that that's a prophet of God. For a long time, man, we've been on the streets teaching. They thought we was crazy. We've been on the streets teaching. They thought we was, lunatics and out of our mind. Now they beginning to understand that these are the men of God. These are the prophets of God. I'm on the internet. White people are starting to realize that we know what we're talking about. They starting to realize that we are telling the truth. They're starting to acknowledge that what we're saying about this Bible cannot be refuted. And as we continue to speak and as we continue to go out there on the street, they are ready to acknowledge it. The fight that's happening right now is among the conservative, not the conservative. Right now, the fight that's taking place in America among Bible believers is, we know that Israel in the Bible is not the land, but a people. And Christians are also arguing about if Israel is a people and not the land, then what people is it? We know it's not the people over there in the Middle East right now. If it's not them, then who is it? And there's no one else on the planet Earth that fits the prophecies concerning Israel in this Bible, except for blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. But Christians are not ready to acknowledge it yet. They refuse to acknowledge it. So the battle is going to be, these prophecies aren't talking about America. America's not Babylon. America's not Egypt. America's not Rome in the book of Revelation. They're going to try to find different ways to explain these scriptures. When they can't do that, they're going to try to get rid of the Bible. They're going to say, you can't teach that on the street. That's all your First Amendment rights is going to go out the window. And that's when the truth going to go underground. We ain't going to be on the street teaching no more. We might not be on the internet teaching no more. But those who know going to know. And the network that we established, the underground railroad of the truth, is going to be an amazing thing for brothers and sisters that are in the know. You understand? But they are coming to grips with the reality that them niggas that was on the corner all these years calling the white man the devil and saying that Jesus was black and saying that the Israelites and the Jews were black, they weren't crazy the whole time. They were actually men of God. They were actually prophets resurrected in the earth. They were actually the spirit of Ezekiel, the spirit of Jeremiah, the spirit of Daniel, the spirit of Solomon, the spirit of Nehemiah and Amos and all Zechariah in the earth again, delivering the word, speaking the truth, warning the people. The Lord is allowing us to wake up first, though. He's giving brothers and sisters a chance now to come into the truth, to learn and to become who the Lord called us to be, because the time is very short, brothers and sisters. We ain't got long before we begin to see, you understand, the spoilers being unleashed on this place. It's starting right there in the land of Babylon. It's starting right now with the king of the Medes. Hell, the Iranians have already said that they have sleeper cells, that they have, groups of thousands of people ready to commit major atrocities and crimes in this country. And who's going to say that they're bluffing? Who's going to say that they're wrong? You think Cash Patel and the FBI is going to be able to stop insurgents in this country? And look at the foolishness that's taken place in the last 16 months with the government. These people are ill prepared to deal with any real substantial problems or issues in this country. The federal government is absolutely weakened and absolutely was gutted by Doge when Donald Trump took office. They don't have the officials in place, nor do they have the proper means to be able to, get people to places if there was an emergency to take place. America is right for what the Bible just lined up is going to happen. America is right for all of the whirling wind, the destroying wind, to sweep through this place and cause havoc and wreak hell. We've been saying, man, for years. I came in the truth, man. I remember a little bit after Barack Obama got elected, and we was teaching black people not to vote. Oh, man, they thought we was crazy, man. It's tapes 2010. General Hyman battling the nigga, but in 2008, General Hyman battling about voting for Obama. You better not go vote for Obama. Man, those niggas in the streets mad. We was crazy. You niggas is y'all don't know what y'all talking about. Go get a job. Here we are, man, all them years later, man, nearly 20 years later. And I know them people got to remember and say, damn, man, them cats was right. Imagine you voted. You voted and you won, and then this is what happened. Damn. The Lord is calling us to take our spirit out of this place, to deliver our soul. And the only way we're going to do that, man, is to give our lives to the Most High, to be the children that He called us to be, keep these law, statutes, and commandments, understand this righteousness, and put your brick in building this nation, man. Come and climb in this mountain of Zion. You understand? The government of Israel exists here in the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. All of the structure, the hierarchy, you understand, the authority, the rank, the order, all of it exists here. This is where the Lord started it, man. You can go and study all of them Israelite groups. Anybody that's teaching about 12 tribes, being the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians here in America. They learned it from 1 West 125th Street in Harlem, New York. I don't care who's the teacher now. He learned, either he was in the ISUPK or he learned from a man that was in the ISUPK, and they abandoned their posts, dropped their sword, left for whatever reason. They should have came back. Commander General Yohana has been holding down the truth that was given to him when he came into the truth as a young boy in the early 80s. And that truth that was given to him is the truth that they was handed down in 1969. And now is the time for the Lord is calling us to come back, to be a nation, to be strong. All of that, I don't want to join a camp, and I serve the Lord in my own. That's not in the Bible. You understand? The Lord didn't call us to be individuals serving him. He called us to be a nation. And a nation has to be unified. A nation has to be together. A nation has to stand strong together. You think that you knowing the Bible and you knowing that that ain't pork and shrimp is going to protect your children from being molested by the people next door, you are insane and out of your mind. Why would you isolate yourself from your nation? Why would you not be counted among the civilians of the nation? Let's say you don't want to be an officer. Let's say you don't want to teach class. You ain't got to go to camp in here. You can come in here, wear all black, and just be a trooper. You could be brother so-and-so. You ain't got to get a Hebrew name. Sisters, you ain't got to come in here and get a Hebrew name and marry one of these men in here. You could just come in here and be sister so-and-so, and you can help and braid hair and, cook and clean and whatever services you may be able to provide. You can sew fringes on some of these garments. You understand? Help some of these. So you come babysit some of these kids. You don't have to be a sister in here and marry a man and, live the hard life that those of us who really serving the Lord is doing. Not everybody's called to be a soldier. It's okay to be a civilian in the work of the Lord. It's okay to be a part of this nation and not be a man that's called to go put his life on the line out there on the streets teaching. But you have to be a part of this nation. And if you're not a part of this nation, then you're not a part of it. Don't come calling us in the day when your emergency comes or when calamity befalls you. It'll be too late then. You understand? Now is the time to call and say, Salaki, sir, I need some help. I got this issue. I got that issue. I say, man, get in class and check in and do what you're supposed to do. Be counted. Make sure that you're acknowledged and recognized. That's why that checking in for class is so important. We keep a roll of brothers and sisters that check in the classes. You understand? We know who's a part of this body and who's not. When the time comes when these classes ain't online no more, it's not the time to be calling and saying, yeah, man, I want to get. Hey, listen, I don't know what to tell you. Now is the time to become a part of this nation. Now is the time to put your work in to show that you are down with the men of the Lord, to become a man of the Lord, to become a woman of the Lord. You go read the Bible, man. The Lord never dealt with anybody in a vacuum. Even when Elijah was battling with the prophets of Baal, he thought he was by himself. The Lord said, man, I preserved 5,000 men that have not knelt the knee to Baal. You understand? Then he made sure that Elijah got connected with those brothers. We the same way in the UPK today, man. You understand? You might not know just how massive and how long-reaching, you understand, this network of righteous men and women are in this truth. But trust me, it's vast. And if you're on the outside, that's because you've chosen to be on the outside. Now is not the time to be on the outside. Now is the time to come in and become who the Lord called you to be and be a part of the building of this nation so that as our oppressor continues to fall, we can all together begin to rise and reclaim our righteous place on the earth as kings, princes, princesses, priests, and daughters of Zion. With that being said, is there any questions? Any questions in the class before I close it out? If you have any questions, I'll answer them. If not, then I'll go ahead and close the class out. Every Wednesday night, we do a show on the Commanding General Yohana's channel. If you got YouTube, just YouTube search Commanding General Yohana. There's a show that comes on Wednesday nights, usually from about like 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Sometimes run to about 11. So if you're on the East Coast, it might start at 9 or 10. I'm not sure what time we start tonight, but between 9 and 10 East Coast time, we get started. We run for a few hours, cover the major stories, man, talk about the different things that's going on. You know what I'm saying? Heavy hitting men of the Lord on the Commanding General Yohana. Sometimes Commanding General Yohana come through and bless us with his presence with everything that's going on, man. It's going to be a good show tonight. You want to tune into that as well. So go on YouTube, search Commanding General Yohana, you understand, and find that channel. Subscribe to that channel. We go live tonight. Tune in. Of course, I'm Captain Soccer Ward down here in Memphis, Tennessee. We have classes here in Memphis every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. All you brothers and sisters out there that's tuning in, if you got family, loved ones, people you care about, get them in contact with the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. All right? And with that, I'm going to go ahead and get the announcements. With the ISUPK under Commander General Yohana since 1969, we have been teaching so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians the truth according to the Bible. What is the truth? The truth is that so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians descend from the greatest people that have ever walked the face of the earth. The Bible identifies us as the lost 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. And in the year 2026, there's nothing more important than for God's chosen people to learn the truth of who we are, where we come from, and what our purpose is on this earth. So what we do with these classes is go into this book called the Bible, so we can give our brothers and sisters the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, so that we can come back to being the people that God called us to be and reclaim our righteous place on the earth as kings, princes, princesses, and daughters of Zion. With that, appreciate y'all for tuning into class. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Shalom, Israel.